Good morning, everybody. Happy birthday, Scorpio. It's your season. Today is October 23rd, 2022. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And today we are going to look at the week ahead and get the angels' advice for traversing this pivotal week ahead and the transits that are coming that will affect our lives over the next 6 months. Good morning, Katarina. Good morning, CC Pups. Welcome to Saturn stationing direct today. Welcome to the Sun and Venus entering Scorpio. I literally, it's funny, the longer I study astrology, the longer I post it up. I do this work, the more I literally energetically feel the change of the planets, the difference between the sun being in Libra and Venus being in Libra and then moving into Scorpio. Good morning, Natalia. Good morning, Catherine. It's funny, birthdays are interesting for me because they're less about cake and candles and more about intentions for what do I want moving forward, which plays very much into what I think this week has to offer us. Because over my birthday week, Saturn is as it stations, it's at 18 degrees to go direct, and then we have Mars stationing to go retrograde at 30 degrees, 25 degrees Gemini on the 30th. So I was really thinking about how am I processing starting my 64th year of life? What do I really believe? Every week I talk about hope for the future and intentions and that life is just beginning. And I thought to myself, what do I really believe about this? How much of this can Teri as a human being incorporate these things? And then I started to really think about this eclipse coming up in Scorpio. We don't just have the sun and the moon together. We have Venus joining the party. And I have done a separate video on that. So I hope you'll look into that because I think this is a very powerful eclipse. So I want to talk about a little bit about some themes I saw about this week astrologically. So traditionally, most astrologers will talk about Venus representing love and beauty and art. And while that's all true, when she's in Scorpio, and as she's moved into Scorpio and she's hanging out with the sun right now, I really believe this has brought a psychological element to what Venus wants to feel in the way of how she feels about herself, about her love relationships, about her money, and not just how it's projected out into this with the sun, but how it feels on the interior. I was thinking about what a partial solar eclipse really does is the moon appears to block the sun from the earth. And I was thinking, astrologers don't really talk about the earth, but if we look at it as a planet while we walk on the earth, it could in some ways block, like represent part of ourselves. So I was thinking about how the sun, sort of how we project ourselves, sort of the way that we, idealism in some ways, how we want to be, not always how we are, because the moon represents our emotions. And I felt like this is an opportunity to dig deep into the emotional body and to sort of take our power back in the respect of setting an intention to be brave over the next 6 months as this eclipse season will culminate 6 months from now, because we are just starting it in Scorpio. And then we're going to see on November 8th, a total lunar eclipse in Taurus. And this is very pivotal. It's on the election day in the United States. And I think that this is really an opportunity for us as a tribe to set a tone for how we will thrive and how we will receive that bounty as we move forward. So good morning, Margie. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Posted Up. I don't know if good morning, Jay Sean. Good morning, Small Wildflowers and Gita. Good to see you. DJ, great to see you. Okay, so I want to kind of talk about the idea of Venus moving into Scorpio. And, again, we talk about sex, we talk about other people's money, but it also rules psychology and the quote unquote occult. And I kind of want to shift that to more of new age thought. I want to shift that to spirituality. I want to shift that to a willingness to see how, as we honor the elements of the earth, because oftentimes ritual in Native American culture was honoring the elements of Father Sky and Mother Earth, and through other ritualistic, tribalistic cultures, we really see an honoring of what has been given to us here as we walk through the earth. So I want to offer it this way, because as we see Venus go into Scorpio this time, and she is literally, this eclipse is at 2 degrees and she's sitting right there at 2 degrees. So there's a fusion of how I feel about myself, my self-worth, how I make my money, what I believe about my beauty, what I believe about my ability to receive, all represented by Venus. Then we have the sun, which is representing leadership, and also the sign of Leo. So, enjoying life and representing that coming into the material world. And then the moon is my emotional body aligned to all of these dynamics, and where I want to go and what I want to feel and what I want to represent and transform. Really, the key word is transform, because Mercury's in the late degrees of Libra this week, and it's at the 22nd degree on the day of the eclipse. And I think this is about coming into cooperation with your thoughts, your thinking, what you're speaking. I had an interesting experience this week, because one of my epiphanies is, I love my dog dearly, and he's a very sweet dog. But I have, for the last 10 years, said he is not an affectionate dog. And I suddenly had the realization that I was creating or co-creating that experience. So I started to say that he's as affectionate as he would like to be, and I received that openly. And the next thing I know, he would come and he would move up on the bed with me and sit next to me up here instead of down at my feet. So I'm really trying to be aware without judgment of my everyday thought, which correlates to the idea of Venus in Scorpio, this eclipse in Scorpio. What is the psychology underneath my experiences on the planet? Then we have Mars stationing at 25 degrees Gemini, and it's going to be doing that for quite some time. And I want to offer it this way, because 25 degrees is the Aryan degree. So we've got this sort of double Mars energy, and now I want to elevate that to the courageous, to the hero. Am I willing to see my own participation without judgment? Because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and we just talked about Mercury being in Libra at a cooperative degree, and then it'll move into Scorpio. And the Saturn Uranus square is omnipresent lately, and so I really think this has an opportunity during this week to have an epiphany about historical ways of thinking that have become so unconscious that as they bubble up to the surface, that Scorpion energy, rather than judge and criticize them, we take them to the Uranian element of a higher way of thinking that offers us an opportunity to liberate ourselves from that line of thought. There are so many incredibly deep imprints that the human experience has that we don't even realize. I can remember in like grammar school somewhere, I think it was 5th grade, Mrs. Davenport was the music teacher, and she was such an intimidating figure that I couldn't get enough air to sing. And of course, she criticized me, law of attraction, and it was just another domino in my becoming fearful of singing in front of crowds and feeling like I couldn't hold a tone, which I don't think that's true anymore. But anyway, finally, we have on the 27th, we have Jupiter retrograde entering Pisces. Okay, it's going to be at the 0 degree there, hanging out. I think it's even might be there now. So this is another element of our belief system. What do we believe about ourselves, and a willingness to go into that, where have my thoughts, where is the psychology of my beliefs had power and control over me in a way that has been so habitual that I didn't even realize it was happening. And as I am aware of it, then I can just allow it to transform. So that's where I'm going. Yes, I'm going by whole sign Western astrology for these groups of videos, meaning large groups. I've come and started to love more and more as I do the individual charts for people when they order them, to look at it in Placidus, because it gives me a lot of detail on the house structure. I've started to pay attention to how big the houses are, what the cusps are, where the degrees are playing some sort of theme. So I think the theme for this week, and what is going to set the tone for the week moving forward and the next 6 months. And I really want to say this too, because we're looking at, these eclipses happen on these axes, and the full moon in Taurus is going to be the culmination of a cycle on a lunar eclipse. So this could very much be where I emotionally align to my own skills, my own voice, and that is what has begun a new cycle for me in manifestation and in prosperity. This axis on the wheel is very money oriented and psychologically oriented at the same time. So if we think about it, oftentimes we have a psychology. We can make so much money, like, oh, I can make 100 grand a year. I can make 30 grand a year. I can make $1 million a year. And yet, once we get to that ceiling, sometimes we can't even pop off the top of it, because the deeper belief is that's where we are. So this is what I think is going on, and I think is so awesome moving forward. Okay. So little whole sign Western astrology. And for those of you that are new to my broadcast, I start with the birthday month, and then I work my way around the zodiac. So we're going to start with Scorpio. We pull one tarot card each week, and then we do an angel spread to get advice on how to traverse these transits. I believe that the soul has contracted to be on this planet to experience various cycles, various weather storms, weather dynamics, in order to make choices. So when I talk about an eclipse and fated events, I don't talk about necessarily something happening to me, but the culmination of thought and choices that lead to an experience that present a choice that can now transform the dynamic. So that's where I'm kind of going with that. All right. So let's start with Scorpio. Oh, and I did, if for those of you, if I didn't mention it, my brain is a little interesting lately. I've done a separate video for the Saturn going direct today, and I've done a separate video for the eclipse this week, and I've done a separate video for Pluto going direct, because all of these things are, again, bringing back opportunities to revisit experiences and dynamics with our new awareness. And this afternoon, I've decided I'm going to do a video that will give you a manifestation exercise that you can employ over whenever you want. But I'm hoping that maybe over the next few days, as we walk into this new moon, where the sun and the moon come together with Venus to grow new things. So when we say fated events, this could be a time when actually everything turns around and things start to grow and prosper. So look for that, because I'm going to do that pretty much immediately after the broadcast today. And I think that'll be a fun exercise for you to do. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with our Scorpios. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And again, if you're new to my broadcast, the moon is super important. And I say rising moon, sun, and stelliums because I believe that the moon is our manifester. If we feel like crap, it's very hard to manifest. If we believe in ourselves and we're excited, we seem to see things come into place and align very effortlessly. So our tarot card for the week for our Scorpios, this is the Nine of Swords. This particular sword group, when I talk 8, 9, and 10, represent mutable air. Mutable air is Virgo. No, Gemini. I'm sorry. And I want to offer it this way because this is a card of great worry. It's going back and forth, deliberating, and yet we see the pillow is the color of our power chakra. We see our wants and desires. There's an argument between our wants and desires underneath here, what we think we can do, what we want to do, and yet there is prosperity if we could just relax. These swords are not in any threatening pattern. And the idea that it's the 9 leads me to believe there's a culmination of a cycle. So, Scorpio, this particular week, and having, it's your birthday month, there's an eclipse. Those of you that have a 2-degree Scorpio influence, and this is the other thing about the eclipse video I did some astrological dynamics that are generational. I talked about Uranus hovering 2 to 4 degrees, Scorpio, Neptune, and Pluto, and how that will affect us generationally. So I want to offer this because I think this is an opportunity to look and see where you're worrying or where you've been giving up your power in a way that has pulled your focus to continue a cycle moving on and on. And now there's an opportunity in this new moon to declare something that you want to experience, a way to feel your power while keeping your relationships harmonious and cooperative. I think oftentimes the human inadvertently thinks when change comes that there's a loss. For every win, there is a loss. And when the human starts to realize that that's an old Saturnian structure, then we can start to break that up and start to create a win-win in every situation. CJD, I have been doing, I don't know if you guys pay attention to the medical medium. He is currently doing like a 10-day brain shot challenge where he's giving different recipes that you use in your juicer to facilitate brain power in different ways. And I've been enjoying that, doing it the last few days. So if your brain is fried, go check him out. See if it resonates with you. If it does, give it a shot. Ha! Did you hear that? Give it a shot. Pun intended, not. All right, Scorpio. Let's see what Spirit has to say for you. Our first angel is Desiree. The second is Archangel Uriel. The third is Bethany. And the final is Archangel Raphael. Okay. Now, I want to offer this too. Scorpio, we talk about rising moon, sun, and stelliums. If you have a Scorpio rising, any planets in the first house are going to come into play here. If you're a Scorpio rising and you're born, around my time, you might have, because I have Neptune in Scorpio, and you could have Neptune in the first house. Pay attention to that. Okay, Desiree is being joined by the Queen, Scorpio. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Perception card. Bethany is being joined by the Forgiveness card. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Mystery card. This is very, very powerful. Okay, so here we have worry. And what if, Scorpio, you have inadvertently been giving your power up and you have been thinking that, I want to offer it this way because we're looking at Venus being in your sign right now. We're looking at this week being very focused on love relationships, on sexuality, on, I definitely think Venus in Scorpio is wearing some sort of black leather. She might be carrying a little bit of a whip. She might be a little bit edgy here in this, and intense and passionate. And on the flip side, she could be very jealous and very pissed off if she's not feeling a reciprocal energy. So I want to offer it this way, because in your love relationships, when it comes to your money, when it comes to your self-worth, are you worrying about something that has not happened? And haven't you historically always gotten yourself out of whatever difficulties, like almost like going to the edge of the cliff and not falling over? Because Desiree says conditions are not favorable right now because, Scorpio, you may not be sitting in a receptive energy. This would be a Venusian energy. And when I talk about receptive, I talk about worry is a form of resistance. It's the human trying to see with their eyeballs how they're going to get out of a situation or how things are going to come together. And if you can't see it, then it brings up the dark side. It is just human nature. We do not by nature think things are going to work out for us. We aren't trained that way. So it's time to sit back during this new moon eclipse and look, am I actually willing to receive? Can I receive? Am I allowing myself to receive? Archangel Uriel is frustration and anger, and there's the perception card. And also historic anger, this sort of seething underneath. So I want to offer that during this week, as you make this declaration and your sign is experiencing this opportunity for the caterpillar to understand the process of hanging upside down in this isolated cocoon while there's a natural process of transformation, and your surrender to that will bring you to heights that you never knew, because this is really a time when this self-care brings a reconciliation of your experiences. And I want to offer it this way. The reconciliation is wisdom. It is wisdom that goes, oh, I get why this kind of dark thing had to happen. Because if this hadn't happened, it would not have propelled me into this place. Because there is something about Scorpio right now that your anger or your resentment may be blocking you from actually being able to see that there is something bigger happening for you that is going to make you feel more aligned to a deeper truth of your own power and your own ability to create. And this opportunity to say, you know what, have I been so worried that I've been blocking that energy? So now I'm going to do my best to sit in reception. I must choose that in order for Archangel Raphael to bring the epiphany that will bring me back into balance. Some people call it healing. I don't really enjoy that word anymore, because healing infers that I was sick or I was broken or something was bad. And every time something quote unquote bad has happened to me, it has broken open something really great for me, because I was hanging on to something that was actually disempowering me versus empowering me. And Scorpio, that's what your sign is about. That's why you're so savory. That's why you're so rich. I'm kind of an interesting intuitive astrologer, because you'll find me embracing these more challenging planets like Saturn, Pluto, Mars, and Scorpio. To me, you're in some ways the bravest sign, because your co-ruler Mars is willing to take action, and Pluto's willing to allow for a death in order for there to be a rebirth. So as you surrender to a more spiritual side of yourself, the part of yourself that knows you're inhabiting a human experience, that your soul is more than this physical experience, it will allow you to create things during a time of disruption on the earth plane that you could never have experienced before. Whoa. Okay, that really felt like I was channeling that right there. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittarius rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Again, I'm going to repeat. I start with the birthday month. So we're just getting this broadcast started. I'm going by whole sign Western astrology for the sake of a larger broadcast, meaning more people watching. All right. Hi, Lucy Rose. It's good to see you back in the room. Okay, DJ, sending lots of love to you, sending love to your friend. All right, Sagittarius, let's see what your tarot card is. Temperance. This is a beautiful card. Unlike my manicure, balance. Balance in all things. And, there is a wonderful benevolence to Jupiter. And Jupiter right now is, really just sitting on that cusp of Pisces and Aries, and it's heading back into Pisces. And I feel like this is an opportunity to really declare balance for yourself as your ruling planet of beliefs, of foreign territory, of multicultural, diverse, exciting experiences new things. Oftentimes when I think about Sagittarius, I really pick historically, traveling over ocean, literally on a ship, has been the dominant way of travel. Space travel and car travel, I shouldn't say space, I should say in the skies, but space as well is relatively new to the human experience. So I believe that there's also this opportunity this week for you to travel to new places over water. We see temperance right here with one toe on land and one toe in the water. This Scorpio eclipse has an opportunity to offer you balance as you see the wisdom of each cup exchanging energy with another. Okay, let's see what direction we're going in with this. Because again, I can't help but sort of take my Venusian energy with it. It doesn't happen all the time that Venus is sitting here on an eclipse at the exact 2 degree of cooperation, partnership. Some people think of the 22 as the master builder. I don't. I think of it as the master of building relationships with money, with food, with other people, with sex, with the things that Venus rules. All right, let's look and see, Sagittarius. Your first angel is, dun, 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 is Xana, the angel of protection. The second is Ariel. The third is Bridget. And the final is Ray. Ariel represents experiences with the spiritual, with connection with the divine. Bridget is about looking deeper into the situation. That would be the eclipse, willing to look into your psychology. Those of you that have watched me for a while might remember I used to have this brown chair, and it was this big like bark lounger. And when I bought it, the psychology, the Plutonian psychology underneath it was really truly brown and poopy, just like the chair. And when it came up in it, I realized it, I got rid of the chair almost as soon as I possibly could, because it wasn't authentic to me. It was something else. So when you look at even some quote unquote insignificant things in your life that you're manifesting, you may have these epiphanies this week, because again, we have Saturn and Uranus squaring each other. So I think there's going to be epiphanies about where you've been holding yourself back through historic old thoughts or historic old energies or historic perceptions. Okay, Sagittarius, Xana's being joined by the communications card. Ariel's being joined by Merlin. Bridget's being joined by the protection card. And Ray's being joined by the restriction card. Okay. Welcome, Shelley. Good to see you in the room. Okay, so Sagittarius, I want to offer this. Xana's giving you protection from all types of harm, and I always think of it as emotional harm. And then I see the communications card, and I believe that this is going back to the idea that we're seeing Mercury in the last degrees of Libra, really giving us an opportunity to think, speak, teach, write in balance, in thinking about, am I speaking and purporting things for myself that create harmony and make me feel like I'm reconciling the challenging experiences, that I'm feeling the epiphanies coming through as I see these exchanges of energy. Because I believe that Ariel and Merlin are giving you an opportunity to have spiritual experiences based on the epiphanies, the psychological depths of what you see about patterned behaviors within yourself and the world. And here is an opportunity to really create balance, this is a card of alchemy. And alchemy is where you take a pressurized situation and it becomes a multifaceted light reflecting energy. So I think this is what's being offered. And I want to say this too, because as we're willing to look deeper into Sagittarius, this is about balance. This is about an opportunity to take some of the challenging experiences and to make them work for you. Here's Bridget saying, look deeper. We've got 2 cards of protection. And I want to offer it this way. The protection isn't about something coming towards you or being attacked. It's more about the more we seek the wisdom underneath a situation, what a disruptive situation has to offer us to empower us moving forward. There is inherent protection in that. So here we see the wisdom. We see an opportunity to take a pause and really connect with spirit, to see our power, to feel our heart, and to start to speak in alignment with that idea. We're going to go through as the spirit, as the soul within becomes more transparent within the human experience, we're going to see opportunities to look at some of the more, I just see that little icon for poop, see the poop and how the poop really is a manure that offers an opportunity for our garden to grow more colorfully, more deliciously, more richly. So rather than judging the poop or judging the negative experience or judging your past or that you haven't moved forward fast enough, what good does that serve you? Now it's just an opportunity to say, that was then, this is now. That offers me balance, because as I'm aware of it, I don't need to go there again. I used to have this boss when I worked in Hollywood, and he used to tell me, Teri, you up all the time, but you never the same way twice. And I was like, well, thank you, Marty. That's a compliment. Whack, whack. Okay, what happened? Did we lose? My glasses are not working the same way they used to. I'm not seeing as well since I had my birthday, so I apologize. I'm not tuning into the. Shelley's okay? Well, Shelley, as I see your comment, I felt like I messed up several weeks ago. There's no cheese up the tube of punishing yourself for. There was no intention behind that comment. There was no malice behind that comment. So what's the point of feeling bad about it? Jump back in the group, own it, let yourself feel some balance with it, and just move forward. It's okay. All right. Let's go on to our Capricorns, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh, and there's the moon. Now, this is what I want to say. When I look at this, the first thing I thought is this eclipse is important to you for some reason. I don't know that it represents confusion. I feel like when I was talking to Spirit about the dynamics of the moon partially covering the sun, it really gave me this feeling of, how do I want my emotional body to be expressed constructively as I allow it to start to poke out into the real world. And Capricorn, on one level, you are dutiful, you can be obligated, you can be like, well, this is how tradition does it, this is what history does, this is how, what's expected of me. And now I think this is an opportunity, as you individualize yourself, to say, I can represent new opportunities, new history, and one where we purport a win-win, where we build a new structure, a new opportunity to feel, to honor our emotional body without giving into maybe even some of the darker aspects of our emotional body. When we give up, when we feel defeated, when we want to leave a tribe that we actually enjoy being in because we feel like we messed up. Who cares? It's over. It's done. I hope you didn't leave the room and you can hear me, Shelley. I don't know, maybe you've gone, but if you listen to this in playback, really, no point to hanging on to that. Okay. Capricorn, the moon is joining Shanti, the angel of peace. Then we have Mystique and Ray coming out together, and we have Caressa. This is beautiful. Shanti, the angel of peace, for me is always never about some sort of harp and a cloud and, peace surrounding me. It's that inner peace that you have during disruption. It's the ability to seek the wisdom that gives you a sense of balance. There would be no fun if I don't even think that the soul enjoys being out of body that much. I mean, it may enjoy it, but I think it's constantly popping into opportunities to go under the veil to experience things in a tangible way. So I don't know if I think all that harp playing, cloud floating stuff is really the tail wag. I think it's the roller coaster ride. And we come down here and we get all pissed off about the roller coaster ride. And at the same time, when we're aligned to the fun of it and we put our arms up, we are like, see you later. All right, time to. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Small. Appreciate you. All right, Capricorn, Shanti is being joined by restriction. Mystique is being joined by the horse. Ray is being joined by the hawk. And Caressa is being joined by the mystery card. Okay, so I really want to go back to the idea that for me, for some reason, I think this moon is super representing the eclipse this week. And I think this is an opportunity for you as a Saturn ruled creature, as your Capricorn, as your ruling planet is standing in the sky like this, 18 degrees. What is my process? Virgo rules process. Virgo rules mental process, analysis, sort of looking at things. And I think this is an opportunity to see and take a pause and really say, are my thoughts dutiful, obligated? Are they aligned to what I want? Or do I give up my power, because this is a eclipse in Scorpio, for the peace of other people, but not myself? Because I think, look, we've got two horses running in the same direction, which was into the spread. Mystique says, now that keep charging ahead, expect miraculous solutions. And then this feels like Sagittarius to me. New ideas, foreign concepts, bigger beliefs, like these thoughts that, wow, if I'm really just dutiful to this one job, this one employer, this one situation, am I really serving a bigger picture? Maybe when I start to work and do things for myself based on what is important to me, maybe I'm a better leader. Maybe there I'm really representing a bigger picture of what's true, because here is Ray saying to connect with spirit, with the truth of what you want. Your power lies in your connection to spirit, your real truth of your heart, and how you speak about it. And now is a time to really rise above and look for the omens that moving in this new direction is viable. And I believe these eclipses, again, the fated events, I can't tell you how many people reached out to me when I did the eclipse video and got scared by the headline, love, money, and fated events. And they were all like, oh no, fated events can be really good. They can be things that you've worked hard and you've been building this energetic momentum, and now they're going to manifest, because this Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle, new happiness awaits you. And then there's the human choice card. And that's what I really believe that eclipses are. They're fated events that are a culmination of experiences and choices that we've made that come in a way that if we've been avoiding something, that choice gets bigger and bigger to align. So sometimes it may feel scary. So now is Capricorn taking enough time to give themselves peace, to allow themselves to start to root in and get down deep about what's important to them, and then represent that to themselves? Because as you represent that to yourselves, you actually help build it in the material world for others. And that's why I think there's a new chapter ahead. Pluto's been through your sign for this whole since 2008, restructuring you. So that's probably what we're looking at as well. Okay, let's go on. Well, if they can, Lucy Rose, if it can always be worse, it can always be better. Oh no, CJD, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to your pooch, but we'll send lots of love and good tidings to him. I'm assuming it's a him. Yeah, you said him. Okay. All right, let's go on to Aquarius. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card is the Ace of Pentacles. This is really nice because it's the beginning of starting to see, I believe, your dreams coming true in the material world. And I want to offer it this way because your ruling planets, Saturn and Uranus, have had, they're on their fourth square, which is interesting because if you think about it, the fourth square takes us to a full square and brings us into a real foundational opportunity to build something new. And I feel like when I look at this, the hand of God is saying, there's the path ahead. All you have to do is be willing to make the journey and to start to root that in the material. Because if we think about Saturn builds in the material world and Uranus takes us out into space, into the unknown. So there's some sort of cooperative balancing thing going on here. Let's see what we're going to build here. Because as I think about this new moon and this the idea that we're planting seeds, and Venus has infused her energy into this masculine feminine marriage, this merger. There's a beginning of a gestation period that's happening. And my opportunity in the human body is to continue to align to what I don't see with my eyes, but I feel is possible with my heart. All right, Aquarius. Our first angel is Astera. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and don't compromise. Shanti is the angel of peace. Rochelle is the angel of the heart, bringing prosperity. And there's Archangel Michael, protection and courage. All right, here we go. Aquarius. Astera is being joined by the stag. Shanti is being joined by the restriction card. Rochelle is being joined by the serpent. And Archangel Michael is being joined by the horse. Okay, so this is not actually in the material world. What we see here is the hand of source energy bringing an opportunity to start something in the material world. And Aquarius, on some level, your willingness to go down the road towards the mountaintop, where the summit, where your dreams are, because Astera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And then we see the stag, and I literally thought this was the square between your ruling planets. Stubborn pride, Saturn saying, historically, I don't win. Historically, I feel like I'm an outcast. Historically, things don't happen. And then Astera saying, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and to stand in leadership of that. Not about whether or not it's actually built in the material, because I believe that this restriction card is a restriction of peace of mind right now. And, if we think about Saturn going through Aquarius, it can be a little bit challenging. I can't say with Saturn's been hovering over my Chiron. So as much as I know that, I can't say that I can ignore the oppressive energy that Saturn can foster. Okay, but my awareness of that also lets me know it's a bit of a storm. And how do I want to process that? Well, I want to keep reaching for the stars with my dreams and my desires, whether I feel a sense of peace about it in this moment or not. Because as you, Aquarius, follow your dreams, your heart's desires, prosperity will be offered to you. And there will be knowledge that's offered to you as well. Knowledge that you will incorporate and synthesize over the next few months in ways you cannot imagine right now. And in doing so, that brings a shedding of a skin, an opportunity for a whole new life to start. And here we see Archangel Michael representing the courage to make changes and to go in a foreign direction, something new that you have not experienced on this planet before. And it's a journey. It's a journey of I almost feel like I'm seeing, Star Trek and William Shatner, to go where no man has gone before. And this is about an opportunity to liberate yourself. Aquarius naturally rules our hopes and our dreams. And through those hopes and dreams comes prosperity and money. It's an Upachaya house where it gives reward over time, part of what Saturn has to say. So I really think that this is a willingness to just kind of keep your eye on the prize, maybe even put on a little bit of blinders and just kind of stay focused, because we know that Aquarius rules the nervous system. And if you get too far ahead of yourself, it may make you so nervous that you don't actually allow yourself to follow through. Okay. All right, let's go on to our Pisces. Hi, Scott Al. Yeah, beam me up, Scotty. Gosh, it feels like technology will be really literally in that place in no time at all. I can't even imagine, if I see that actually take place in my lifetime, because sometimes I'll watch TV Land and I'll watch old, Lost in Space or Land of the Giants. And it's so funny because the technology seems so clunky to me now. And so obviously, contrived. But at the time as a child, it was magical to me. Okay, Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The Queen of Swords. This is a very, very nurturing energy. a nurturing of the mind, a nurturing and of kind of paying attention to what sits beneath. There is angelic energy. There's transformation through the connection to the other side. And I want to offer this too, because while we see these, we see one little bird up there, and it kind of makes me feel as if for Pisces, this is a lone journey of identifying your thought process. And if your thought process is really aligned to all the transformation that you want to experience, of all the signs, there is the most commingling energy for me with Pisces. Pisces is the sign that right before we go back into the collective, where we're releasing the physical body. It is a sign where we spend time alone in our bedrooms, either actually literally dreaming or meditating. It's a house of restriction, of loss, of prisons and hospitals. So I feel like here we are sitting in a week of an eclipse, and this is giving you an opportunity to be nurturing in your thoughts, to be to get down deep and say, am I spending as much time dreaming about the things that I want to experience as I am paying attention to what I am experiencing? One of the interesting things I've been walking through is there has been a shift in my outside world where I don't feel as much flow. When I started to really pay attention to my YouTube channel, it's almost like I got a wobble within my physical client bookings. And I get it, because I've got split focus. And there's a part of me in my human body that thinks I should be worrying, and there's a part of me that has a mental thought, but it's not an emotional thought. And this is comforting to me, because in my identifying that it's a habit of worry I have, and now I'm fostering a habit of trust in a bigger picture, in forces I can't see but yet sit underneath me, I can not worry in the same type of way. It's kind of funny. I don't quite know how to explain it. All right, well, let's look, Pisces, where this is happening. Hi, Bora Bora 333. It's so wonderful to see you in the room. Welcome. All right. The Queen is being joined by Crystal, the Patience card, Omega, and Xana. Crystal talks about what you can't see. There's more happening. And Pisces, you're so intuitive. It's time to go into dream time. And in this respect, rather than thinking of it as an illusion, as the humans around you, well, that seems like an illusion. That seems like a fantasy. Spirit would say the more you focus on a fantasy, the deeper you can get into the detail and the feeling of that fantasy, the more you can bring that into the real world. And it isn't a fantasy anymore. So let's see. Crystal saying have faith and hope. And it's being joined by the Lady of the Lake, to have courage as you go through this storm between what you feel emotionally and what you think as a human. And then effortlessly you hold on to your truth, and then allow Spirit. We're seeing double swords going on here. It's almost about lightly focusing on your thoughts, and then allowing Spirit to bring in what you cannot see, so you can anchor it into the real world, because the Patience card is about observation and study. And then we have a new beginning, but it's skill without practice. And the skill could be for Pisces not to be absorbed by others, but rather to allow their intuitive body to sit still while Spirit gives them confirmation. We have Omega, the card of victory, being joined by the dog, unconditional love. Now, when I was younger, I used to think unconditional love was to love somebody when they were, rude to me, or they were a jerk to me. But what I realized is that you can love somebody, and the unconditional part is that I don't necessarily need to be affected by the conditions in the outside world. So it's almost as if this is an incorporation of a divine disruption, looking deeper into what that may mean, and not from a judgy place, from Okay, are my thoughts aligned to my deeper truth? Do I have the courage to hang on to my deeper truth, even though I don't see any evidence of it? And I know I have these skills I've been working at. I've been on a spiritual journey for a while. I've been on this road of empowerment for a while. So maybe my job right now is just to align to my thoughts and to watch myself so that I can start to feel my own victory and my own loyalty, my own sincerity without having to have the conditions in the real world just yet. Because Xana, the angel of protection, is being joined by the eagle. And the eagle, okay, so when I was doing my Pluto video, my Pluto direct video, and also the Scorpio eclipse, I was digging deeper in my research, and the eagle is also representative of the Scorpio energy. It's angelic. It is a connection and it offers transformation. So you're being protected as you're willing, Pisces, to be in this empowered energy of knowing your deeper truth and not feeling necessarily taking action in the real world, but continuing to align to it and continuing to align to the spiritual forces that support that and strengthen it and allow it to anchor in to the human experience over these next 6 months. And I say that because eclipses have a 6-month influence. We're probably feeling it all right now. Okay, let's go on to our Aries. And while I'm putting the cards and shuffling, I just want to mention I am going to do a video this afternoon, right after this. And it's going to be an exercise on manifesting and using the energies of this new moon, partial lunar eclipse to anchor it in. So check out and look for that a little later on. Okay, Aries. We have the Justice card. You know, the Justice card is a wonderful card. It's all about, obviously, fairness. There's a very Libran energy to it. And it also, in some ways, feels as if I'm an Aries rising. And, you know, the first thing every astrologer talks about with me is anger, resentment, harboring ill will, blunt, aggressive, assertive. All those things are true. But do I live there? No. So this is why I've become this crazy rogue astrologer, because I'm sick and tired of all these Saturnian old dynamics not allowing for the evolution of not only myself, but the planets at large. So Aries, as you're aware of your thoughts, I don't know if you can see this guy's holding a sword. The swords are always going to represent thought. Oh, it's over here. Sorry. There's the sword. And here's our balance. So I want you to start to think that even though you're full of fire, you come from your heart. And I want you to start to give life to the idea that as Jupiter has been transiting Aries, as Chiron has been transiting Aries, this is really an opportunity to reconcile the wound, to realize that without the wound, sometimes we can't express the gift. We can't be the healer. Chiron, suffered chronic pain throughout his life. And yet mythology, Chiron, I don't know if he was really a half horse, half man. So there we go. But in the legend, he suffered, and it was through his sacrifice and then the reconciliation of his sacrifice that he was actually released from bondage. And I think that's where, because Chiron came into the earth under dynamics that were not of his own making. And he was rejected as he was literally just a little baby. None of that was his fault. So I think that's partially what Aries has to reconcile, is that there's a part of you that is not your fault. So harboring resentment or harboring the old story of yourself and not allowing yourself to grow. Yes, you have the ability to be hostile. Yes, you have the ability to be angry. Yes, you have the ability to be the warrior. But are you really? Is that being just and fair to you? Let's see what the angels have to say. Because I think that there's a transformation. I think that Jupiter, having gone through Aries, now entering into Pisces, it'll come back into Aries, and Chiron will move into Aries, or move forward in Aries, all giving us an opportunity to be brave, to be heroic, to see things from a different perception than we did before. To not pigeonhole Aries as just angry, but the evolved version of Aries is the hero. And are you going to allow the hero in you to flourish and grow? Aries, our first angel is Maya, schooling and education. The second is Rosetta. The third is Caressa. And the final is Archangel Michael. Aries, Maya is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Rosetta is being joined by the Stag. Caressa is being joined by the Forgiveness card. And the Cow is joining Archangel Michael. So y'all know I'm an Aries rising. And it's kind of funny because as I was looking at this, I was taken back to 5th grade. And I got to be teacher for the day. Let me take a sip of my tea. And the whole class was being disruptive. Everybody was yelling and talking amongst themselves. And I got super mad. And I just yelled at everybody to shut up. And they all shut up. And they sat there like this. And at the end of the day, my teacher, Mr. Sutton, I believe his name was, it was either Mr. Sutton or Mr. Randa. And he said to me, Teri, do you think you were productive as a teacher today? And I was so proud of myself. I'm like, yeah, everybody shut up. He's like, do you think they learned anything? And then I started to have this light bulb dawning on me. Because Aries, this opportunity for the Justice card is for you to see, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Do I want to be constructive in how I express myself? Your ruling planet is going through the house of community, your neighborhoods, your workmates, your teammates, your children, your siblings, your cousins. So this is a real opportunity for you to, in the real world, ground a new version of yourself. You're not giving up your sword. You're not going to turn into a wuss, but you know how to use it like a knight of the round table, because this is a time to truly allow for the leadership and for the soft side of you to show up. That you're not just here to just barge into a situation, but rather to foster a different dynamic. Another one, I've spent my whole life, Pluto's had such influence over my whole life. So it's been one series of transformations after another. And, my family used to say, you're a bitch, you're hostile, you're angry, you're difficult, your standards are too high. And I bought into all of that for a long time. And then I went into a self-help program. And, within that program, those people found me to be a leader. And when I saw myself as a leader, it shifted me. I saw myself as something different than I had been told I was. So here we see the end of a chapter and the beginning and the reconciliation of that, because Aries is a leader, very much so. And now is a time for you to be brave. Be brave to make the changes so that you can not only receive your, I guess I want to say kudos, pat on the back, feel contributing and feel vital and valuable, but also to see the give and take of a situation that words don't really teach, experience teaches. So what happens is when you're having an exchange with other people, maybe there's some people that could remember every word you said, but more often than not, they're going to have an emotional response and they're going to remember the emotional response. So I think this is an opportunity for the hero in Aries to really start to thrive. So there you go. And to be gentle with yourself as you start to incorporate these things and you realize you're in a constant state of learning and awareness. Okay. Let's go on to our Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Taurus. Wow, we are getting lots of cards that have to do with thought. There's the Page of Swords. And I want to offer this because you're going to have an eclipse coming up in a couple of weeks. And you also have this opportunity to have a new thought. And this is a card of motion. We see the ponytail up in the air. This particular card has lots of birds on it. And we see this sort of light foot. And I think this is an opportunity for Taurus, a fixed sign, ruled by Venus during this eclipse, to have a lighter thought with your, or lighter foot with your thoughts. Kind of throwing in there, well, what if something I can't see is happening? What if whatever's going on is offering something different? What if the winds of change are actually blowing in something I love versus something I'm afraid of? I think this is really about turning things around, because the more we walk through this part of history, the more we see fears being inflamed, the more we see focus on disruption and imbalance and, a dehumanization of each other and a categorization of each other. So this is an opportunity to cut through this old dynamic and to seek that wisdom. Yes, Lucy Rose, lots of swords, lots of court cards, which are indicating characteristics, stages of life. And then the majors are really playing to the idea of the eclipse. Majors have such a strong influence. It's the hero's journey through the human experience. So Taurus, let's see what the page is offering you. Our first angel is Layla. The second is Yvonne. The third is Opal. And the final is Fiona. I'm going to send prayers for your pooch, CJD. All right, here we go. Taurus, Layla's being joined by the Raven. Yvonne is being joined by the Death card. Opal's being joined by the Fear card. And Fiona's being joined by the Dragon. I think this is amazing and wonderful. So here we see the beginning of new thought, the winds of change coming in the way that I'm starting to be more flexible, more willing to not just drop down on an old pattern. Taurus rules our family history, rules a certain sense of needing security, and this feels more flexible in my thoughts. And now Layla is offering a connection to spirit, which is really bringing in divine events, a magic. And I also feel like we see this Raven on top of this like clean skull. The bones of yesteryear have been picked clean. So now all we can do is align to the magic of what we want to experience moving forward. Because Taurus, there's Yvonne, there's a sense of vulnerability as you're going through a transformation. And that transformation is starting to understand the baton pass, the cooperative relationship with spirit as I align to a certain way of thinking. And then I go to spirit and I am here aligning in a way that says, you know what, there are magical forces, there are things happening that I can't see. And then we have this opportunity to transform and be trusting that vulnerability. Because Opal is here saying, God is in charge, God is watching over everything. And then here's the Fear card. And this is about transforming fear into a bigger picture of, am I afraid right now because there's something happening that I can't see and I'm imagining the worst? Or am I fearful now because historically I have always, whenever I love something, it disappears. And then as I'm aware that, oh my goodness, what I'm doing is I'm going back to those old bones. There's no cheese up that tube. So now I start to align. Thank you, Spirit, for giving me experiences that support a new version of myself as I transform and I become more vulnerable to my own transformation of my thought. Because as a Taurus, I'm used to thinking a certain way and I tend to stick to that because that's what I know. So now what I'm doing is I'm turning my fears over to spirit and trusting a bigger picture, because Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And there's the Dragon. That's where your power and your strength lies. And it's like this. It's not about just saying, oh, I'm just going to throw my hands up in the air and do nothing. It's more about seeing your alignment with your thoughts and your trust with spirit as an action. And then you will be given a inspiration as to when it's your turn to take next physical action. And that's the baton pass, the give and the take, the new idea for Taurus. Okay. Here we go on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Mars stationing in your sign. If you're a late born, around 25 degrees, there's a lot going on for you. We're going to be revisiting a lot of the points that we've already walked through with Mars and Gemini. And I kind of think of things this way. When we go through retrogrades, the first time we experience them, I think we're very much in our human body and operating from a human perspective. When we go into retrograde, it gives us an opportunity to review whether that human perspective, that human structure is serving us. And then as we move forward again, it gives us an opportunity to start to implement maybe a new idea if the structure was not really serving the bigger picture. So Gemini, here we go. 5 of Swords. This is not easy. This is actually Mars and Gemini right now. Feeling a sense of contempt for my workmates, my teammates, feeling like maybe I'm carrying the lion's share and everybody's dropping the ball. Let's see what's going on, because I want to offer it this way. With Mars in Gemini, taking aggressive action may not be how it's best served, but rather let's see what Spirit has to say, because they may be saying there's an opportunity for you to align your thoughts. I can't help but see this character as having 3 of the swords. 2 of them he's holding here, and we've got 1 here. And then, of course, he's disarmed his opponents. And I think it's because he can anchor his thoughts into the ground and still hold space for inspiration. Let's see. All right. Hey, Lammy girl, welcome back to the room. 5 of Swords can be a challenging energy. Let's see. Our first angel is Opal. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Xana. And the final is Bethany. Opal's being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Novice. Xana's being joined by the Letting Go card. And Bethany's being joined by the Swan. When I see Opal, it talks about your children being safe on earth and in heaven, and that God's watching over them. If for some reason you're a Gemini and you actually have children, and you're having challenges with them, they're annoying you, they're not appreciative, there's some challenging energies, either amongst your children, you and your children, you and your cousins, you and your siblings. I kind of want to go there because I feel like you've got the lion's share of the swords here. And on some level, Gemini, you get to sit in a mastery of energy as we see the Lady of the Lake here. Hold on to your truth effortlessly as the storm of Mars going through your sign continues on, and allow the hand of God to bring in an opportunity for you as you're contemplating both sides of the situation, because I think there's an epiphany to be had. There's something going to come. And this is where we assert Mars in a brave energy, where I'm actually waiting for my orders from spirit above. Mars is not, the sun is the king, right? So Mars takes its orders from the sun. So there's a little bit about this sitting back and taking your orders from the sun, meaning allowing for an epiphany to come, to bring a healing, to start a new beginning for you. Because The letting go card is always about moving away from fear. And here's the protection card. And the fear could be all sorts of things. And oftentimes we could even see where we fear other people's contempt for us as we hold on to our healthy boundaries, as we say no to things that are imbalanced. And while I'm focused on children, because Opal talks about children or the family dynamic of cousins, siblings, children, I also think this could be workmates, teammates, anything where there's a group of people, because this protection card, as you step away from the fear of other people's contempt, other people's reactions, other people's input, allows you to truly start to transform. Bethany's about self-care, and here's the swan. And I have thought oftentimes that love is disruptive sometimes. Love doesn't always have empathy for imbalance. Sometimes love says no. So I think for my Geminis, this next week and this eclipse and the idea that Mars is stationing, by the time we talk next week, Mars will be heading retrograde, and it's holding station at 25 degrees, which is the Aries Mars degree. So keep your cool this week. Don't let anyone throw you off your game. Step back and take a breath before you move into action, because I think if you do, you'll find you have a stronger leg to stand on. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Absolutely, I believe sometimes love says no. People don't always like that, but I think it's so true. I remember years ago when my grandmother had a stroke, my father said to me, maybe you should quit your job and take care of your grandmother. And I thought to myself, my mother, who does nothing all day long but sit on her tush, why doesn't she take care of her mother? And I said to my father, no, I have a life to live. I have a life to create for me. I'm not going to sit here and run into this pattern of dutiful behavior and turn into a resentful, angry alcoholic like everybody else did. So love is interruptive. And sometimes saying yes to me is saying yes to somebody else. All right, Cancer. Okay, we got the 7 of Wands. Hi, Tiffany. Welcome to the room. I'm sorry, did I say Wands? 7 of Cups. This is a card that is just confusing. I think one of the most confusing cards of the deck, because we see that everything that feels good also has sort of a challenging side. And oftentimes I'll refer to the cup that has the skull and then the wreath of victory. So we can have, in war, oftentimes people die in order for others to succeed. So I feel like this is where, when this guy sits in this dark energy of the unknowing, a confusion between what should I pick, what should I do, what should I do? This is where we sort of have to sit back and close our eyes and to look back and go, what does my heart really want? Because the idea of Cancer, it can nurture outside of itself to the point of such self-sacrifice that it too can become resentful. The 4th house is the house that is at the very bottom of the zodiac, and we refer to it as the motherly nurturing energy, and yet it's the unseen energy. If we think about, oftentimes the mother eats the cold meal, or the person representing the mother energy, because we think of the 10th house as the more visible energy. So lately I've been hearing astrologers, or been drawn to astrologers that are flipping that script. So they're using the 10th house as the most visible parent in the outside world, and the 4th house as the feeling invisible parent, the invisible nurturer. So Cancer, this is where I'm saying that you may be considering, like, if you win, the people you love suffer. Or if you don't stay in the dark, or you have to stay in the dark for the people you love to be in the light. And I think we're going to find that we're going to rewrite that story. All right, here we go. Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Opal. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Ray. And the final is Rosetta. Wow. Lemmy girl, it's interesting for me too, because my 4th house is empty. Yeah, the moon is it's in Taurus, so in Placidus, it's in my first house, and I have Saturn in the 10th house. And I was just recently reading something, and it made so much sense to me, and no other astrologer that I've talked to has said this to me. Saturn trines my moon, and Saturn is in the 10th house. It's very visible, and part of my career is because my motherly experience was fear-based, full of restriction, full of obligated energy, full of the darker side of Saturn. All right, Cancer. Opal's being joined by the Love card. Archangel Raphael's being joined by the Wind Fairy. Ray's being joined by the Movement card. And Rosetta's being joined with the Focus card. Okay. Cancer, especially my late-born Cancers, you've got an opposition to Pluto going on. This can make you very nervous and very feeling unhinged a little bit. And you may be going back and forth in some respect about all the good news, bad news to everything. I'm very drawn for my Cancers to go outside myself. When I look at Opal, I'm not thinking this is about my inner child. I'm literally thinking this is about the people that I love. Those that may be younger than me, those that are older than me, but it feels very much like there's a part of me that has to understand. It's like, let me tell you, when I was younger and the thought of being a mother came to my mind, all I thought about was the vulnerability of, when the kid starts driving, when they're home by themselves, when, all the pitfalls of me not being able to control a situation. So Opal is about God and the angels taking care of the souls that you love. And there's the Love card. And I feel like if you're an indecision at all, if you're feeling a little bit challenged by the energies in the sky right now, your opportunity is to go into your intuitive body and circle it with love and start to think, I really am powerless against the choices of others. But what I do have is the ability to focus my thoughts in a healing energy, in a way that supports from a nurturing place. Because we've got two positions reflecting the same thing. If I connect with Spirit, Ray, Archangel Raphael, the Wind Fairy, there will be movement. And the movement will be, I think, the feeling less vulnerable to the ins and the outs of the world. Right now, with Mars traversing Gemini, we have a lot of anger in our neighborhoods. We have people doing crazy stuff in the United States. I mean, literally, like the news is just full of random crazy anger, and some of it is people losing their lives. So Cancer could feel very, very vulnerable to the input from the outside world. And I think this is about going back into what you know as an intuitive person, and then surrounding those that you love, including yourself, with energies that are larger than yourself. Because here is the Child card again, and there's the Focus card. And I think that the focus is on, we're representing the balance. We are demanding, we are calling forth from Spirit, as I align to a bigger picture of what I am and what I am doing here on this planet. I'm representing that as I align my thoughts, I'm protected and I'm healed and I'm insulated on some level from the randomness of what's happening outside of me. And I truly do believe that. All right, let's go on to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, just call me. See, I hope you feel better. Oh, so many things going on right now. All right, Leo, our first angel. Oh, I'm sorry. Our tarot card is the Tower. Now, I think of this card as Uranus. I think of it as sort of this, a lot of people get scared of it, but that lightning bolt reminds me of Uranus, the suddenness of this, the feeling like a little bit thrown off. But let's see if this is a negative thing or a good thing, because historically, when I've gotten the Tower, it tends to bring forth changes that for whoever I'm reading are actually favorable, like getting married, having children, things like that. So let's look and see, because again, this is a 6-month cycle we're talking about with this eclipse this week. We're talking about some pivotal energies in the sky now moving direct. All right, here we go. Leo, our first angel is the Patience card. The second is Merlina. The third is Opal. And the final is Isabella. The Patience card is being joined by the Rebirth card. Merlina is being joined by the Novice. Opal is being joined by the Eagle. And Isabella is being joined by the Love card. Okay, so here we are on Leo. Leo rules love. Leo rules the zodiac. Leo rules entertainment. It rules children. It rules the conception of children. Because I want to offer you this. I truly believe, as I've talked to some people that were trying to bring little people into this planet and they were experiencing hurdles, that many of those souls were like, hey, I'm not coming in during all this crazy stuff in the sky. I want to have a better birth chart than that. I don't want to continually have to go uphill as I'm fighting these squares and these oppositions. So I believe that this is somehow liberation. I believe this is representing a bit of a blow up, a bit of a disruption. We can kind of expect that, but in many ways, it's probably a divine disruption, because here is a birth and a rebirth offering. And this is the Patience card, which is really a card of observation, of study, of paying attention to where you've been. And back when I was in my early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, I moved to North Carolina. And the year before I moved to North Carolina, I was so disgruntled and unhappy. I kept saying, I just want to wipe the slate clean and start over. I just want to wipe the slate clean and start over. And I probably said that every day, multiple times a day for 2 years. I moved to North Carolina. That was not really the smartest move I ever made. It was illuminating, but not the smartest move. I move home, the moving van is stolen, and everything I own is wiped out. My declaration came true. So I really want to offer my Leos, watch your verbiage when you're calling forth this new beginning, because while in hindsight, losing everything I own afforded me new things I could never have imagined. It was a very disruptive time, because there is an unstable new beginning coming forth for you. And, we know that Saturn is opposing right now, Leo. And depending upon the degree and the planets you have in Leo, it could be bringing forth an unstable new beginning. And yet at the same time, it's aligned to a bigger picture of what you've been calling forth. And now there's a certain amount of trust in God and the angels that you get to purport. So I lose everything I own, literally every single thing, from dishes to blankets to my clothes, everything, my washer, my dryer, zip, everything gone. I get an opportunity to move to Laguna. I have nothing, so I can live in this little place, and yet I can't afford it at the time. Everything is falling apart, and I'm talking to Spirit. I'm like, why did you put this beautiful thing in front of me? I feel like you're tempting me. And they said, we're not tempting you. We're asking you how much you believe in yourself. And in doing so, I took this apartment, and now I've lived here 19 years. Yes, the timing is right, Leo, for you to do what you love. Surrender to whatever unexpected thing goes kapooey, because it's going to bring in something you've been calling forth. And now it's about being brave and courageous. We know Leo rules the heart, and we know Leo rules the spine, as well as the whole zodiac. So this is a time of leadership. This is a time to surrender to whatever disruption takes place, to seek the divinity within that disruption. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a disruption that happens to you personally. It could be disruption that's happening outside around you. And your choice is to buy into that, or to say, I'm different and I step out. I'm going to do something. I'm going to think a little bit different. All right, that's kind of exciting. Sounds a little bit scary at first, because there's the unknown part. And if somebody had told me before certain events happened in my life, you're going to lose every single thing you own, every keepsake, every love letter your grandfather ever wrote you, everything that was sentimental to you. I wouldn't have wanted that to happen. I would have said, no, 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 no. But in hindsight, it was very liberating. I don't know that anything's going to happen physically. All of this could happen internally. This could be a claiming of what I love. Leo rules the heart. It rules romance. It rules entertainment and fun. So this could be an actual rebirth of those qualities, of a claiming of those qualities, because it's all about what you love. And yes, the timing is right for this venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation. Divine disruption, people. It's a thing. It's a real thing. Okay, let's go on to our Virgos. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, our tarot card is the sun. This felt like good health. The minute I saw it, I felt like, maybe we're making a turn. And it rules pets. Virgos rule pets. So maybe there's something new and exciting happening, but I want to give life for new growth. I want to say to myself, okay, Virgo, here we are with this new moon. It's a partial solar eclipse, but it's a new moon with Venus right there. What do I want to plant, or what do I want to water? What do I want to feed and nurture and grow in my life? Let's see. Because there's a certain amount of vulnerability that gets to take place. Okay. Oh, Lammy girl, sending you some healing vibes. Bronchitis is an interesting thing for me because I kind of associate certain parts of the body with when they get out of balance, and bronchitis is the voice. It affects the throat. So, are you taking in nourishment? Are you giving yourself nourishment? Are you allowing yourself to constructively speak your mind? Oh, Mercury went retrograde. So yeah, so there I would think about this. I as I've aged and as I've become more vibrationally aligned to my soul, anger is not good for me. And when I express it, or in a kind of volatile way, or when I withhold it, I get sores in my mouth. And so I've been very mindful of that and paying attention to how can I be hurt and disappointed and in that human space, and yet use it constructively so that I don't turn it in on myself. All right, here we go. Virgo. The first card that flies out of the deck is Bridget. The second is Rochelle. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Chantal. Wow. Okay, so this is what the first thing I thought was, Virgo does things, makes things happen. You're of service. You take action. You make things happen in the material world. And maybe there's a little something where you're not meant to actually take action right now, but to plant more seeds, to water, to nurture. When we plant something, we know that it's not going to bear fruit right away. So part of the process is allowing it to do what it does. And I think that's where we're going with Bridget. Oh, Tiffany, congratulations. You lost everything too. Wow, that's so crazy. Isn't that it's a freeing experience, honestly. Okay, Bridget is being joined by the Fear card. Rochelle is being joined by the Dragon, Virgo. Yvonne's being joined by the Baird. And Chantal's being joined by the King. I almost feel like there's two parts to this for my Virgos, because the sun is ruled by Leo, and Leo rules romance. So there is the potential that romance is afoot. But let me start with a more practical way of going for my Virgos. Whatever you're planting and growing, whatever brings you joy and happiness, your job is not to overwork it. It's not to overanalyze it, but to sit more vulnerably, and take your hands off the reins. Notice this horse does not have a saddle, does not have a bit, and this child can effortlessly hold on to this pony. They're in cooperation. Here, Bridget is asking you to look deeper into where your fears have you overmanaged things sometimes. Have you overanalyzed them, overthink about them, over plot and process them? Because now is a time to go back into your heart chakra. Here is the Rochelle saying, now that you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you. And now is a time to be calm about it, to sit back and understand that it is an ebb and a flow to everything. As we put our intentions out into the world, I know it's hard. That's why you do the crossword puzzle, or you watch a movie somewhere, you go into the enchantment of storytelling, because you have to be vulnerable in this moment to the old story so that you can give life to the new story. And then we see Chantal, the angel of love, and we see the king. Now, this is where I got thrown into romance, because this could indicate a relationship, somebody coming back around, but more so, I want to offer it this way for Virgo. This is about you loving your life more, and that it's a karmic opportunity, a just time for you to love things, to look where you've allowed your fears or your obligations or your duties to be the platform with which you made your decisions. And now it's about taking more of a Leo-esque type of energy and saying, you know what, when I feel good, when I'm having fun, I'm helping that vibration for everybody. So while I want to say there's the potential that Virgo could experience a love situation or a resurgence of love, I think it's more a love of self, a love of your life, a love of your path, a love of your process, the process of your own evolution, the process of your own spiritual awareness becoming more tangible to you in the material world. I spoke earlier that I've been going through this phase where there's a part of me that says I should be worrying more. As I've been focusing on the YouTube channel, it really, it pulls, people don't book, and it's kind of weird to watch. Like, if I don't do videos, then people book. And if I do videos, people tend not to book. And I'm trying to find the balance of the two, right? And I keep calling upon spirit. And I've had a sense of comfort knowing that focus. So there's been parts of me that say, oh, I should be worrying. I should be thinking more, oh no, I need to make money. And then there's other part of me going, oh, it's all good. It's going to show up. Just stay aligned. This is what I think is going on for you guys. I think there's an opportunity for you to trust a bigger picture of what you love and the ease with which it comes. And then to take your Virgonian service, your Virgonian good health. And I say good health because as you align to these ideas that your happiness is your service, and rooting that into the world. Okay, let's go on to our final sign, Libra. Yes, and believing is sometimes hard, because when we start to believe something, we inadvertently drift into how will it happen. And so often we can't figure that out. Yesterday, I was walking down the street, and I've been doing money manifestation exercises, and which is why I'm going to do a video for you all to do a money or whatever you want to manifest on this new moon. But I was walking down the street, and there was $2 bills on the ground. And I'm like, okay, Spirit, thank you for the hint. Thank you for the hint that money's coming. It may be starting slow with $2, but it's still there nonetheless. Okay, Libra, that's me. There's the Empress, Venus, abundance. This is a card where she has everything. She's fertile. She is pregnant with everything that she wants, and she knows how to own it. So Libra. It was $2, not a $2 bill, but it was $2. I do have some $2 bills stashed away. I'm saving them for when money goes away and there's no longer paper money. I'm thinking they're going to end up being worth something. Who knows? You know, CJD, those little things when people let you walk outside, and things like that, when you're, running up a bill at the vet, these are the small, subtle hints that Spirit is giving you that there's alignment beyond what you can see. And there may be connections that happen that this disruption with your pet has to offer you that doesn't mean something tragic and loss. So, all right, Libra, Venus is ruling the day. The Empress, bounty, harvest, reaping, sitting back. This is a very receptive energy. There's no action here. And this is how she rules. Our first angel for Libra is Rochelle, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart. Then we have Rosetta. Then we have Serena, the angel of abundance. Thank you very much. And Xana. Oh my goodness. I love when I share all my stories. I worry about money and then the card of serene money comes up. So funny. We're going to see more and more synchronicity too. So I want to offer this because, the world may look on the news like it's falling apart, but the more we're aligned to our truth and what we want, the more we connect with a bigger picture of source energy, the more we recognize our thoughts are things, the more we recognize our focus is not about being perfect. It's just about continuing to, okay, I'm aligning. Okay, I'm aligning. Oops, I had a wobble. Okay, I'm aligning. That will create a momentum all its own. And in addition to that, you have your oversoul. You have energies beyond what your human eyes can see that are also holding space for you to experience something elevated in the earth plane. Because your elevation, you're allowing yourself to thrive when other people are not. You're allowing yourself to experience what appears to be magical is your service. So Libra, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, fear starts to work for you. It starts to empower you. Rosetta is being joined by the trust card. Serena is being joined by the protection card. And Xana, the angel of protection, is being joined by the joy card. So it was just your birthday month. Venus was just going through your sign. And I want to offer this for my Libras. I think Venus left a little magical dust in Libra. And Mercury, as it's been going through Libra, is allowing us to align to those feelings. And I want to offer this as well, because we know that Pluto is squaring Libra, especially the late degree Libras. Thank you very much. 26 degree rising Aries, 23 degree Sun, 27 degree Mars Libra. I have really thought that this square was giving me an opportunity, especially the one between Mars and Pluto, to transform how I take action. So, will I take action aggressively based on fear, or will I allow fear to empower me as I trust my heart? I was telling you earlier, I've had this weird wobble with money this whole year. I feel like I've taken a big hit monetarily, and at the same time, my sense of faith and trust has grown exponentially because I do trust in a bigger picture of what I have journeyed through, and that I am being guided in a way that allows me to stand in representation of what can be. The trust card is a 47. The 47 reduces down to an 11, which is my thought process. Here we see Serena, the angel of material abundance, offering abundance effortlessly. And there's the protection card. It's a 38, which reduces down to an 11. If there's one thing I believe I have done as a Libra, an air sign, is to start to pay attention to my thoughts, and are my thoughts in balance with what my heart wants to believe, Rochelle. And here's opportunity to know that to come true. There's an opportunity to say that as a Libra, if I am the harborer, the purporter, the nurturer of balance, then what I'm really saying is that I know that there is dark and I know that there is light. I know there is negative, but I know there is positive. I know there is rich. I know there is poor. And both of these things serve a bigger picture, because here we go. The joy card is a 37, which reduces down to a 10. This is huge. This is huge in the way that I'm thinking about my mind. I'm recapturing my own power. I'm feeling protected because I'm starting to see a wisdom that is beyond the human experience. And as I seek that wisdom, I feel more and more receptive and more aligned to the protection of my material resources, to know that while everything else appears to be going off the rails, I, in my alignment, will stay on track. And I will stay on track because I'm willing to sort of understand that when I'm going up, there'll be a down. And when I go down, there'll be an up. And part of it is sometimes not trying to climb my way up or dig my way out, but allowing the momentum to take me. Okay. That's it for the beginning of our Scorpio season, the beginning of eclipse season. I'll be back next week, 11 a.m. Pacific time. We'll look at the next week's transits. And as I said, I'm going to do a video this afternoon that's going to be a focused exercise for you to do to harness the energy of this eclipse, start to manifest something. And also, I'm going to be doing a video this week on the Mars retrograde. So look for that as well. And I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank Small Wildflowers and Lucy Rose also for being so helpful and always being so supportive with the timestamps. And I want to thank you all for putting your trust in me and being here today. Please like, please subscribe, please share on all the social medias. And I look forward to seeing you next week, everybody. Peace out.